Hello and welcome to I Am Well podcast. I'm your host Gemma, a nutritionist and a hormonal fasting coach, passionate about self-development through a holistic lens. But my biggest mission is to help empower women and get them to reconnect and trust their bodies again. So if you're a woman who just wants to better herself and live her best life, you're listening to the right podcast. So let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to I Am Well podcast. Before we get stuck into today's episode, which I'm guessing you've clicked on because maybe you want to understand how to have more patience in life. Maybe you're waiting for something and you're like, hurry up. Let's get to it now. Well, we're going to get stuck into that today. I have on again with me my husband Shane for another special episode. It's always a delight. Thank you, Shane, for coming on.
It's more for me. I appreciate you having me on.
Let's talk about having this concept of being patient and having more patience.
Yep.
The reason it came to me is because on my TikTok, one of my most not viral, but one of my biggest videos is the one where I was talking about how to have more patience in your day. And it got me thinking, why is this so popular? And it's because I feel everyone's waiting for something at the moment. That is very common. Everyone wants something. And the thing that's the most frustrating thing with today's society is I think it's so much harder to wait for things now than it was years ago.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Because
everything is on demand.
Yeah. You've got Uber Eats. You've got Netflix. The other day, we were watching something on Paramount Plus, is that what it is?
Yeah.
And there was ads. And let me tell you, when the ad came on, I quickly grabbed the remote and I went to fast forward and I went, oh my God, we can't fast forward. And I started complaining about it. I was like, what are we doing here? We're paying for a subscription and we still get ads now. And then it just reminded me of how, what's the word? Privileged we are.
Yep.
That here I am complaining about ads. I remember ads were like such a normal thing back in the day. Do you remember when we'd watch a movie on a Friday night and you'd have ads throughout it? So the movie would start at 7, but it wouldn't finish till 10:30 or something just because there was that many ads throughout.
Yeah, and then your parents would always say, oh, all right, well, next ad break, you have to go do this. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's part of daily life. But now it's so built up where everything you do, you can skip ads. It's like you play a game on your phone. It's like pay for ad-free. YouTube is ad-free. Just pay a bit more and you do all this stuff. And we're all, like, it's so quick to do it because, oh, God, I can't take out that 30 seconds to watch the ad because I'll miss my show. And it's like that time's so valuable, but you're stuck on your phone.
So this is what's the hardest thing right now is that everyone wants something quickly. And, you know, clients that come to me, I have to say, you have to be willing to be okay for it to take a while. Because everything good in life, it takes a while. It's not going to be an instant. You don't want an instant fix like that because then it's not sustainable. But we forget that because we get things so instantly. Okay, how do we retrain our minds to think waiting for something is actually okay?
Yeah.
You know? How do we get to that point where it's okay that it's going to take this amount of months, this amount of weeks, this amount of years? And I think this is quite common too for people that say are starting up businesses, you know, new businesses and things. I've been through it. I've been through the ringer since starting it 2 years ago, where I guess you kind of want it. Obviously, everyone always wants the overnight success, like the overnight, oh, boom, it happened, it worked. But it doesn't work out that way. And I think just coming back to it's okay and this is going to help with your growth, not just in your business, but in your personal life, with your mindset and everything. Because at the end of the day, you don't really want it to be a quick success overnight. And you don't want something.
I think you lose, one, the drive and the excitement of what you're getting. If for example, if you could have it the 1st of December or whenever you want, you'd be like, okay, it's Christmas today. It's not as, because it's the build up and it's okay, you finally got there and the countdown to waiting and it's like, where has that changed from being such a excitement and be, oh yeah, I'm building this up. I can, like, when it does come, it's going to be amazing and we can get there, instead of now it's just constant. I just want it.
Yeah,
Right
that's
here.
true. It's a lot to do with your dopamine, and it's about just trying to reset that dopamine again. And I've got a podcast episode on this with fasting, because when you can lean into fasting too, you can reset your dopamine. So this is something too that we need to remember, that it's just your body's way of craving that dopamine hit, that it wants it right now. That's just sometimes when I think about it like science way.
Would diet come into your mindset with all of that, or is that?
Oh, I've got something in my eye. Would diet come into?
So would diet, if you're eating healthier, would that help with your mindset and patience and everything like that? And
100%, because even with food, with processed foods and sugars, that gives you an instant dopamine hit. Yep. So after you have that, an hour later, you're craving something more. And when we we're not getting something that we really want, it brings us down. It brings our mood down.
Yeah.
So what's going to make us feel better? An instant dopamine hit. So that's when we look for something like processed foods, or what people call emotional eating. And we will feel better. But once again, it's so fleeting that what's the point? I always say future Gemma will thank me for this Gemma, or past Gemma will thank me for that Gemma. You've got to think of your future self, whether that's 2 hours later, a day later, If I'm feeling crap right now, if I go grab some processed chips or food or whatever, it's going to make me feel so much better in this moment. But is future Gemma going to be angry at this past Gemma? And most likely, yes.
Yeah, you have that battle a bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. How do you go with waiting for things, like being patient for things?
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
I'm horrible. And I've been conditioned that way with, I would say predominantly my phone. I get stuck on it and it does go, I watch something and it's just no more ads. It's like Spotify. If I'm listening to something at work while I'm working, I don't want it to be like an ad come into it, and then you pay for the extra subscription. So I've been conditioned to it. It's like Netflix, no ads. It's like free to air TV, it's ads. To be honest, the ads are sort of refreshing now, from not having them all the time, and then to get an ad and you can sort of go, okay, I can breathe. And you didn't realize that you're so tense in that whole moment of.
Do you feel like having kids has brought us more patience?
I feel like having kids, you need more patience.
Yes.
Whether it's brought us more, I do think you have more patience, but you're also being asked to use a lot more patience. Yeah, I have a lot more patience than when I was 20. But I'm expected to use it constantly, especially with kids. And, okay, just have patience, and that they're going to do this and they're going to listen to you and they're going to eat properly, instead of trying to force them and then trying to get them to do something and have patience. So it's like you constantly... So it feels like I don't have as much being a parent, but in the broader picture, I think looking at it from an outside point of view, I have more compared to when I was younger.
I reckon, we definitely do. We just don't realise how much more. But you said something there that like a light bulb moment, like you're not forcing it. And that's the thing when it comes to more patience. It's if you're struggling with waiting for something, it's probably because you're trying to force it. You should be happy with where you are in this moment and be happy with the journey. And I know that sounds typical positive thinking advice and it can be frustrating and annoying, but it works. If you actually turn inwards and go, what can I be grateful for now? What is happening now that I'm happy with? What's happening? What do I have around me that I am missing because I'm so solely focused on achieving this one thing? And this is something that I've had to do myself, because many times, still to this day, because I get so fixated on achieving one thing or working towards one thing that I forget I'm just looking down this one avenue. I'm forgetting everything else that's out here to the side, like in my peripheral vision. And that's the thing, where you don't want to be forcing it. If you're forcing it, you push it away. You push it further away. So whatever you're going after or whatever you want now, you need to come back to where you are right now. Take a moment, take a breath, come back to this moment, and be happy for where you are on this journey. And all of a sudden, then things start happening and falling into place. And that happens so many times to me that way. But I just forget it because we're all human. And I just go back to that I want it now kind of thing.
Yeah.
I forget that the moments where I have slowed down, where I have been grateful for where I am, or where I have enjoyed the journey, that then things start to fall into place.
So, is there any way that you can improve your patience? Because I don't know, like growing up, I've never heard of a way that someone's been like, practice your patience or try and improve it, or...
It's not so... I think like we're talking about as if like patience is a thing to grasp. But when you take it out of context like that, when you don't think of it as it's an object, like patience is something you can have, and you just dissipate that idea and just instead think about us being in the moment again and being happy for where we are and the journey that we're on and being grateful for that, then all of a sudden time goes on and then and you actually get closer
to 100%.
patience.
Like actually that makes sense. It's just growing up, I feel like you were either born with patience or you weren't.
Yeah.
So, the person, he's really patient. Or they're not patient at all. It's not like you never really think about something that you can adapt to you.
You can train for it though. You can definitely get better at it. Everything is always such a mindset thing, don't you think?
Oh, 100%.
When it comes down to anything in life, I always believe it goes back to mindset. So it's just practicing those pauses and those breaths. Because the brain wants us to go back. As you said, if you've been brought up in that time where you struggle with having patience, that's all your body's ever known. That's what its natural program. So if you go back to if you start taking breaths and taking pauses and thinking about it, that's your body going, no, we're not used to this. This isn't a Shane that we know. Let's go back to the old Shane. The Shane that just wants it here now, gets frustrated because it's not here now. So remind yourself that you want to change, you want to grow. So in order to do that, you need to do things that feel odd and feel different. Taking pauses, taking breaths and being grateful in the moment might feel odd. It might feel like, oh, it's such a little tedious thing, as if this is going to work. But it will. It's just your brain doesn't want it to because it lacks the comfort of what it's always known.
Yeah. Yep.
I also think setting realistic expectations for yourself too, because this is what happens even with me, is sometimes you can set a goal for yourself and it might just be not so crazy of a goal, but maybe you're just setting too many things for yourself, and realistically no one can do that much, and then you get disappointed when you don't reach it. And then that's where why didn't I do that? But at the end of the day, maybe you just weren't setting a realistic expectation for yourself. I feel like this is me giving this advice.
Yeah, I feel like I should be saying this to you.
Yeah, I know.
You're just in the sense of you push yourself so hard that I need to be doing everything and constantly. And it's unrealistic. A team of 4 couldn't do that.
I know that's me that I'm talking to. I know I definitely push myself. I feel like it's a lot of women can relate to. I don't know. You feel like you have something to prove. You have
Yeah.
something that you've got to...
Is that how you feel?
I think it's just that, what they call like the rushing women syndrome, you know. I do feel like women get caught up in the whole what their role should be, though. It's very complicated nowadays, especially when you have kids. Should you be that woman that's working plus looking after the kids? Like, but then people are saying, no, you shouldn't be putting your kids too young into daycare, or
Yeah.
you need to have that balance. So you shouldn't work full time, you should work part time, but then you shouldn't work at all because you need to be home. It's just this constant battle of what women should do. And I feel like women put a lot of pressure on themselves. Not to say men don't either. Men
Yeah.
do,
Oh,
just
yeah.
in different ways, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I've definitely seen you put that pressure on yourself, especially having kids, and when schooling and daycare come into it, it does get a lot more complex. And it's what is the best role for you? As a guy, yes, you're right. It is different. It's not whether we should work or whether we should stay home, but yeah, it's whether we're working enough, whether you should work the extra time that you can or you should be home. So it's similar, but...
So what about putting patience into context for something realistic for you? Like driving home, say you get stuck in traffic. That would happen to so many people all the time.
Yeah.
And you just want to make it home. I've said this to you before. That has happened to me. I'm like, how do you sit in this traffic? Like, how do you sit in this traffic when you just want to be home? It's so frustrating when you're so close, but you're stuck in traffic. So how do you get by with those moments when they're so frustrating? You just want to get there.
I think like a good thing with all of that is knowing when you can affect the outcome. So in traffic, knowing what you're going to do is going to change the outcome of the situation that you're in that moment. So nothing, when you're stuck in traffic, nothing that you're going to do or the way you react to something is going to change the circumstance of which you're in.
That's true. You're still going to get home at the same time.
And the only thing you do is make it worse if you react to it. And then bringing that to your home life, that's where things, obviously you bring the work home and the stress and then the feel you haven't had a break at all. And instead, it's hard, but try and turn that stuck in traffic and try and do something productive, which you're really good at, where you listen to a really productive podcast or something to help and better yourself. And we go through that. Obviously, if you call me and you're stressed about something and you're stuck in traffic, I'll say, we'll listen to the podcast that makes you look at things differently. So it's not the fact that it changes the scenario you're in, but it just changes your outlook on it. So
yeah, that was really good key takeaway, because it was about sitting in traffic, but that can work for anything that you're waiting for. As you said, at the end of the day, the outcome will be the same. Say you really badly want this job promotion. Say you really badly want to, I don't know, come into more money, or say you really badly want that brand new pair of sunglasses or something. At the end of the day, that outcome that you want will be the same. So instead of being frustrated with the wait, sitting in the traffic, for example, being okay to be there. It's literally what I was saying about being grateful for the journey. Trying to change your perspective on where you are at right now, so that it's not going to be so frustrating when you finally reach there. It's actually going to be a nice journey.
And listen, everyone has seen that car in traffic that jumps between lanes and just tries to get in front. And you find it fun to just be like, okay, well, I'm sticking in this lane and I'm passing them. And your mindset, you're just going with the flow and you're just letting it take you, and you're not trying to force anything, and it's just take it in.
Because it is so funny when they're like doing that, they're cutting lanes and then they're like, oh yes, I got in front, and you do pass them. Yeah. And you're just like, silly.
You should have just waited. Should have been more patient.
Yeah, I love that analogy. So to summarize, it's about enjoying the journey.
Yep.
Being okay with where you're at.
Yep.
And just switching up the mindset.
Yeah. And
switching up where you think you're viewing your position at right now.
Yeah, and knowing when you can change an outcome.
That's true.
I think that's like a big one. If you can affect it and you can change where it's going to go and how quick you get there, and then if you can in a positive light, but and knowing I've got to wait for this bill to come in or something, or anything, it's like just it's going to come.
Because what I did find is that when we focus too much on what we don't have, and when we focus on that lack and the frustration of not being able to get there, it affects everything. It affects how you feel, it affects your health, it affects your hormones, your stress, family dynamic, it'll affect us. So what's the point, as you said? What's the point of ruining that? As we were talking about the stuck in traffic, what's the point of feeling that frustration the whole way home and then coming home and you're angry once you get home? You might as well enjoy the journey and get home and be happier with where you're at.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because there have been times when you've said to me and you've seen me walk through and been like, oh, like, what's wrong? And just be like, oh, no, traffic was just horrible on the way home. You should just call me out and just be like, yeah, so
you made
was
it
home. Was that your fault? Like, did you do something? No? Okay, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything you want to talk about?
There was a couple of things that I wanted to ask the health coach, if you know of one. Just how to create healthy eating habits. Because I find as like with picky eating, I'm bad at it. With the kids and everything. Obviously, having kids, it's very easy. You're cooking them something and you just pick at something.
Yeah.
Are there any suggestions on how to cut that out?
Yeah. That would be one of the biggest things, especially for parents, with when you're making things and you're like, especially if you cut off the crusts of a sandwich, you're like, I'll just eat them rather than throw away. And once again, it comes down to mindset. It comes down to not going off autopilot, because that's what we tend to do. We go off autopilot. That's what we're used to. Mm-hmm. So it really takes pulling yourself out of the situation. Now, if you do it like once and then you realize you've done it, that's awareness. So that's great. So take note of that, but then pull yourself up on it the next time. So each time it's about creating more and more awareness and coming to the understanding of, do I want to keep being this way, or did I come here to change? Do I want the change? Well, I want to be better. I don't want to do this anymore. And I know this is affecting me, the way I feel. That's a mindset part. A more practical tool that you could do is get out a healthy snack for you at the same time you make it. Yeah. Get out some carrots that are chopped up and make it a thing. When you're about to make the kids' meals, get out a bunch of chopped up carrots with hummus and, I don't know, maybe some cheese or something like that. Something like, this is a little good fancy snack for myself. So that every time you go to eat one of their little chocolates or one of their little snacks that you've popped into their lunchbox, you pull yourself up and you go, no, I've got my snack board here. Yeah. And you go for your snack board. It'll then just at least trick your mind thinking that you are kind of eating the kids' leftovers, but you're not. You're eating your own snack. So it's about, you kind of have to be proactive before you start. That's good. Anyway, that's all we really have for today. I just really wanted to go through what it comes down to with being more patient. Just a couple of little proactive tips and tools for you. If you liked this episode, please leave a rating or review. Otherwise, I'll talk to you all in the next episode. Also, if you are wanting to understand your hormones better, if you're wanting to really get down to the nitty-gritty of like what's going on for you, why you've got depleted energy, why maybe your cycle's irregular, why maybe you are craving food and sweets a lot more, and deep down there's a root cause there and you really want to get to it, jump on a free call with me. I give you a questionnaire that you can fill out pre-hand, and then we'll just take it from there and we'll see. But there's so many things that we could do with glucose monitoring, fasting tools, techniques, and cycle syncing. And I just want women to understand more about their bodies and reconnect with them again. So if that interests you, look at the show notes below and I will leave a link for you to book a free coaching call. But thank you, Shane,
Peace.
once again for coming on. And I'll talk to you all in the next episode. Bye, guys.